Alright, hello gamers and welcome back to another episode of Vidja Game Hunting. So 2 weekends ago in my area they had the first ever video game swap meet. Basically a few collectors got together and decided they wanted to do sort of a get together, trade some games, and this is the first event of its kind in my area. Now it was mostly focused on trading games between collectors, so there really wasn't a lot to be had with cash purchases. In fact, most of the vendors weren't selling, it was only with trades, which was a little tough for me because I didn't bring a whole lot to trade. Luckily, I set up a table with my buddy Andy for our weekend rental podcast, so we could try and push that, get to know people in the area, and just let them know about the podcast, and have some fun trading some games as well. And Andy brought a ton of games, so he was able to help me out and work out some deals and get some trades done. Thank you, Andy, for essentially being my banker. I appreciate it. And it was a great event. I got to meet some collectors in the area that I had never met before. Cartridge Fun, Nate was there, of course. I've talked about him. Eric of Fargo Retro, got to meet him for the first time. And Adrian, not another game collector. I'll link to all their channels in the description below. But it was a good time, big turnout. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of time to chit-chat because deals were happening. We had the table. But it was cool to get to meet everybody out there. And one of the first things I got, the table next to us, there were a few gentlemen that were all really cool to talk to. I can't remember the guy's name who I traded this with. My bad, I'm horrible with names. But I worked out a deal and I got a Power Glove. Super excited to have this. It does not have all the extra doodads and sensors and whatnot, but I really don't care because this isn't the type of thing that I'm going to play with anyway. It's just a collector's piece. And I've wanted one in my collection for a very long time, so I'm happy to get this and put it up on the wall. It's very awesome. And then something I didn't expect to see there, boxed Jaguar games. I can't remember the collector's name. We worked out a deal and I picked up a game that I didn't have for my Jaguar collection. That is Super Burnout. So definitely not something I was expecting to find at this little impromptu game swap. Very cool. And some other awesome stuff. I traded for a few Nintendo Powers. Virtual Boy, this is one I really wanted because I'm going to put a display together with my Virtual Boy. I want to put it in a case, make it look all neat. So that is one I've been after for a while. I picked up the Stunt Race FX cover. Andy made so much fun of me for picking this one up, pointing out that it was like one of the lamest covers ever. And maybe he's right. I don't know if that's true. But this is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. Love it or hate it, I always enjoyed it as a kid. And then I, of course, got the iconic Super Metroid cover. So very cool. Got some NES games also. We've got Wild Gunman. Strangely, I did not have this one. I always thought I had it in my collection. Did not. Picked up Burai Fighter. Heard this is a pretty challenging game. And then a game that I thought I had in my collection, but I think I was confusing it with Gradius. That is Life Force. And this is a really fun shooter. Worked out a trade for some more NES stuff also. Rad Gravity. I'm a big Bruce Campbell fan. I always thought the character from this game looks a lot like Bruce Campbell. One we talked about on the podcast and I knew I had to pick up. I was going to get it at MGC, but it worked out that I got it ahead of time. Kickle Cubicle. Really fun puzzle game. Like this one a lot. River City Ransom. This one's been on my to-get list for a very long time. I've just never gotten it at a decent price, and luckily with a little bit of trading, I got this at a very good deal. Another one that everyone always tells me is great. I'm finally getting my chance to play it, and that is Crystalis. So this is an SNK game. I expect good things from SNK on the NES, and I'm sure that game will live up to the hype. And then one last NES game. I'm super into the unlicensed games. They just always I gravitate towards them when I see them. So I ended up picking up Death Race. Don't know a whole lot about this game, but really excited to have it in my collection. So that is all the NES stuff I got. I thought those were some great games. One of my favorite things that I got, I was working out a deal with Eric of Fargo Retro. We had a couple Turbografx arcade sticks, the Turbo Stick, and I ended up getting one off of them through a trade. He had two, and then he said he was going to get a deal on a Final Fantasy II. I told him to just go for it because I know what an RPG lover that guy is, and it made sense for him to do that. And he also traded me a boxed Turbo Tap, or the multi-tap, which went to Andy because we kind of worked out this trade all together. But this thing is like new. It's still got the clear coat over the board here. Just fantastic. This is my favorite thing that I picked up. So Eric, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was awesome. And then that was it for the swap meet. Great time again. I hope they keep doing similar stuff like this in the future. It would be cool to see more cash options opened up. I totally get collectors not wanting to do cash. And then on top of this, I've been working on a trade with my buddy Scott. We do trades every so often when we find stuff, and I had sent him a game. I'm still working on the other half of this trade, but he offered to send me an action replay for the Saturn, which he flashed, so we'll play import and burned games. So this is very awesome, especially with Midwest Gaming Classic coming up in just a few days. I can open up my collection, maybe get some import games there. Very excited about that. And he also sent me some burned games. Uh-oh, I know. So there's a few things in here to play, like Burning Rangers. I've been getting into that finally a little bit. But it's nice to have more options with the Saturn, because if you're not familiar, the Sega Saturn does not emulate well, and games are expensive and incredibly hard to find. So this gives me some options to test out some games that I'd probably never get to play otherwise. Very excited about that. Thanks, Scott. I've got some other stuff I'm working on for you to complete that trade. So you just hold tight. And the last thing, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me post this a couple days ago. Nate, Cartridge Fun, picked up every boxed NES system ever, pretty much, in a single trade. Or in a single score, because he's a lucky SOB. And luckily, he had some surplus boxes now, so he gave me a box for an NES sports set. This thing is really awesome. It's actually in better condition than the box that I picked up recently, so I'm very, very happy to have this in the collection. I'm a huge NES collector and fan, and these boxes just look great on display. So thanks, Nate, for hooking me up with that. And stay tuned to the channel. Nate and I have a video collaboration that's going to be coming out in just a few days. I'll leave it at that. You guys will have to check it out. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.